o'clock on January 22nd. That's the town garage. A motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We need to approve the minutes of January 2nd and January 12th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Ron, you weren't at the second meeting, correct?
Yeah.
January 12th.
Yeah, but January 2nd, you were not present, correct? Right. Oh, I just want to double check to make sure.
I think I did. That was our shot.
If there are no additions or corrections, can we have a motion to adopt the minutes of January 2nd and January 12th?
So moved.
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain from the second.
Correct. And one abstention for Ron.
January 2nd.
January 2nd, correct. Okay, the highway report, Danny and...
You gotta do that.
No, we did both. I said both.
Oh, you did both?
Yeah. We approved both.
Okay. Sorry.
Who made this motion?
Alan made the motion and Stan seconded it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The highway report is Danny and the crew are out there with their trucks, with their sand and salt and keeping the roads and people safe. So I don't think there's anything that we have to clean up right now. Nothing happened. Whatever.
I did talk to the fellows the other day, and they said that last little snowstorm we got, the one that lasted all day, was kind of expensive.
Very expensive one, yeah.
Expensive per inch of snowfall, just because it was stretched out and required treatment and attention for a long
And then it came back again.
Right.
It was a real killer.
Right, so,
Came back, I talked to Danny.
right.
Okay, Sullivan Towers is not here today. Their roads were bad, so they canceled, and they will be here on February 5th. February 2nd.
No,
Good.
that's
Good.
it.
Yeah.
It's the second, your date's on the second.
Oh, maybe that's all right.
It's the Friday.
Okay.
No, it's February, that's what I thought.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Fifth, according to Smokey.
Smoky? Pocket count. The assistant town manager,
Town administrator.
the select board interviewed 3 candidates, one from Sackers River, one from Chester, and Bill Kearns, and after our interviews and discussion, the board offered the position to Bill Kearns, and he accepted.
Well, it's that administrative assistant, that's what we...
Assistant town administrator, sorry.
Well, we had advertised for administrative assistant.
Yeah.
Is that what the title is?
That's what we,
It says assistant
Right.
town administrator, yeah.
That's the way it is.
I believe we had said, since we advertised it a particular way, we would continue with that title through the probation period, and then if it went further, we would probably change it.
As assistant town administrator, or administrative assistant.
Administrative assistant.
Right, that's how it was advertised, okay.
right, it was hired as advertised.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's the proper title at this point, but we have discussed changing the title.
Joe, what is the compensation?
Personnel committee, you want to answer that one?
For this hire,
Yes.
42,200. And we're understanding that there would be no overtime pay, just taking this comp pay.
32 hours a week.
32 hours a week, yes. Thank you.
And Bill will start in about 2 weeks. And then after that, it'll be full-time, but there'll be a couple of days where he can't be here. But Amber will fill in if necessary.
So does it come out to the 42.5, or is that what we budgeted?
I think we're looking at the new budget.
Okay, I think that's the tad bit over the 42.5. We gave a little bit of a wiggle room, so.
I'm sorry, you're saying that we had budgeted for that amount just in case?
Well, because you gotta take into effect a 3% increase because that's for the 2018-19 tax year, so everybody's gonna be differently a year, and there's gonna be some, we tend to go a little bit percentage over the amount.
Yeah, you're right. So what we've done is it's $25 an hour for 34 hours a week for the full year. And that comes out $42,600 or something like that.
32 hours, right?
It's $800 a week, so $41,600. Plus change for that park day.
The review of road crew contracts, I'm not sure what that is.
It's, we have a sheet, and it's actually a follow-up to, there's been a comment made at one time about not being able to get a hold of any of the road crew. And I texted with Bill, or with Danny on some stuff, and Danny says actually the best way to get a hold of them is with the pager. Okay? I know from personal experience when I had a pager, when I worked, pagers will work in places that cell phones do not work. So they said that they get better coverage with text than trying to call them on cell phones. The other thing, which is new to me, is their pagers now allow text. So rather than, which they didn't used to, at least back when I had them, they were just a number you were supposed to call back that number. So the advice to us is if we want to, it could be simple, it could be texting them and say, call me at this number, or it could be tree down on Stage Road. If we can make a brief message, then they may act accordingly. So their numbers are listed. All the numbers are listed here.
I wondered about that.
Which
You're parked in front of overhead bay, which ones are
Sam and Joan, could you move your vehicles? Okay. They need to get in with the trucks.
So, I made this up.
Oh, you made it up, okay?
So if there's any corrections, or if you see a better way to do it.
Got one. You're listed, the phone number you have listed for me is actually my cell number.
Okay, oh, that's right.
My home number, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Did you send me that? You haven't sent me, because I don't have it.
I think I sent it to Amber, and she was supposed to copy them and put them in the boxes, I think.
That's correct. That's where I got mine.
I don't see mine.
Mine is in the box.
I'll get it.
But anyway, so other than that, I thought that was the easiest way to do it. And it tells you the paging company, the Central Vermont Paging, I think that CVC or whatever it is on there, and it has their number direct, just in case you can't get a hold of somebody. And
Have you tried it yet, is the question.
try it again.
Have you tried it with success?
I haven't. No,
Be good.
try not to bother them.
Well, I know, but sometimes it's good to make sure it works.
Big word.
Or that we can work it.
It's really easy.
Okay?
And if there's any other emergency numbers at the top or something we could put in, just make a note, let me know, I can change it and then resend it out or whatever. But I thought it was important that everybody have this either in their
No, it is.
truck or in their file or
It
whatever.
is.
You guys have this now, right?
It is. And
Well, this is different, or a little bit different maybe.
Oh, I've seen that, but yeah, I've got their pager numbers, how to do it, I do it on the computer all the time.
But I do think it should become standard procedure when the board does their reorganization on the night of town meeting after the election. Whoever is elected for new select board positions, then this should be updated that night, because you never know, the next day you might get a call. So it should be kept updated. But also, the new people that get elected to the select board should get a copy of this that night.
Well, actually, when you get elected, the next day, you usually go to the meeting, the collector's office, see the administrator, and you gotta sign your W-2, and you gotta give all the information. Maybe that's the time to get all that stuff.
Well, no, actually the time to do it is the night of the reorganizational meeting, so everybody has the changes.
Now,
At least I do.
should this be distributed by, in the Grafton News?
That's another conversation. Do we want everybody texting the, and I'm not sure that we want to do that.
No, because if everybody will be calling Danny and Dave for every little thing, and they'll go nuts, and then it'll not mean anything anymore.
Correct.
They ask that. Sometimes they're out in the middle of nowhere, the reason you can't get a hold of them is because they're in the middle of nowhere, but their pager works. Do not, please, say, call this number.
Right.
Say, we have this problem, in 3 or 4 days, would you come by the office to help us with this problem? Or, this is an emergency, this is the problem, can you take care of it right away? Because they've often left jobs, only to find out that the message was, can you come, in the next 2 or 3 days, can you come by the office?
Right.
Okay, so text your message rather than just a phone number.
Correct.
Yeah, if there's a tree down, usually person will call 911, it goes to mutual aid, and then it goes to us, it goes to the town garage to come and fix the problem. Do the town trucks have radios?
Yes.
So they don't,
The mutual aid can contact them on their radios,
if there's,
if they're out. If they're not out, they're not gonna obviously get out.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Or, there's the radio at the town hall, which if you called with a tree down problem, the town hall, then somebody at the office could call them on the radio too.
Yeah, but often it's the middle of the night.
Yep.
There should be a number that everybody in town knows that you can call.
911.
If you're way out, by the time I walked home, that's 3 hours or something, sometimes.
Well, where are you calling from?
Well, if you walk along 121, there isn't one place except at the top of the Wyndham Hill
Yeah.
that you can use the cell phone. And most of us don't carry pages and everything else.
Well, but if it doesn't matter what number that you're going to call, if you only have one slot, you can either call whatever number you want to call or 911 from that slot.
Yeah,
This
but
doesn't
to walk to
solve
that
your
spot-
problem.
So to walk to that spot
Yes,
can take you a long time.
unless you knock on somebody's house.
But the only house is there.
But it's not going to help you out.
What I
Whatever.
don't know is there a number that the public in town can call?
Yes, 911.
Okay. So would you put that in the Grafton News, because I never knew that.
Okay.
You know.
I mean, any emergency. If you feel that the tree is down, it's an emergency, it's blocking the road, it's 911. That is the emergency. That's across the United States. It's a common. That is the universal emergency number. So if you find somebody laying at the side of the road, if there's a tree down across the road, if you see a fire, 911. That's the number. And what they'll do is they'll talk to you, but you're going to have to get to your spot,
To a spot
where your phone works to be able to call 911, any number. But yes, 911 is the easiest way. Call that from home also. If you look out and there's fire on top of the telephone pole, like it's flashing, there's a tree down on it, 911.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Anything further on the review road contact?
Al, when that tree goes down on Stage Road, you need to be up with a chainsaw and take care of it yourself.
I've cut quite a few on there. Yeah.
The weight permit, you fill out the paperwork on that.
I think I do.
Okay. I think we all have to sign this, don't we? Otherwise it's...
No, usually it's the clerk or the chair.
This is for Newport Sand and Gravel, Carroll Concrete Company.
Must be all one.
Yeah, it must be all one.
company. I wasn't sure.
Bill, I think that's one of the things I think that we need to get a handle on. If all the necessary permits for these heavy-duty trucks are being done properly. I'm not sure how we do that, but this is the first one I've ever signed, and...
Oh, no.
No, since I've been on the board.
Right.
First one I've signed since I've been on the board. so-
Right, because you didn't come in March, they usually come
Right,
around
okay.
in
They come
this
around
time of
this
year,
time.
January,
right,
February.
okay.
And we'll get a slew of them, probably another 4, 5, 6, and they're really good about doing it.
Okay,
So it's because of the new calendar year that you're
Right,
coming around.
there's a follow-up that Amber or Bill, whoever, will have to send that off to them as signed. None of you else.
Kim, I guess this is part you, part us, we want to revisit the 2018-19 budget. And have the board approve it?
Right, it changed, if you look, Amber should have given you, I don't know, I think.
I didn't get one.
I think she gave you page 1 and page 6,
Remember anything?
and she highlighted the
Yeah.
top. So,
What's up? Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, I have that. Maybe it's in my...
so with the hiring of the new administrative assistant,
I'll have one talking to you.
with the hiring of the administrative assistant, that line item, we had to bump it up. So as you can see where it's highlighted, I think 42.5, okay? And then you come down a little bit, she highlighted the benefits. And so we had to increase the benefit for the amount that it took. And by doing that, if you go onto the last page, which is the 6th page of this, she didn't print all 6 pages, and then changed the total amount from what we had before for the selectmen's budget
Yeah, and I think...
and our overall budget.
I think it's important to note that why the benefits increased, because the former administrator, Emily, she did not,
You shouldn't say names, just say former.
the former had less health insurance benefits, so the town was able to save some money, but now the new administrator is just like all the other employees and gets the full benefits.
So that's what changed the select board's budget by those $2 amounts. And at one time, you already had made a motion for the budget of the selectmen's budget, what, about almost a month ago? So now it needs to be a motion to accept.
To revise the budget.
Never did?
No, we
No, we
never
never did.
accepted the budget.
We never accepted it yet. And this was the meeting we were going to accept it, I believe.
Hey.
Because there were going to be too many changes and benefits that all had to be...
Because we knew we were going to enter the hiring practice, and we didn't know what the end result was going to be. So,
I make a motion
Yeah,
that we,
well, if I just have a question. Kim, when I look at the changes, the pay is bumped up 5,500, I think, or 6,500, and then the benefits 7,000, so about 13,000. But the actual budget change for the total expenses is up by 26,000, so I'm not sure what that's about.
You're talking in the selectmen's budget itself.
Yeah, and then when we go to the total expenditures.
Right.
So there's about a $13,000 increase for the town administrator.
One of the things that shows up now currently in the selectmen's budget is the mutual aid dues
Right.
that the fire department and the rescue, and that's 15,000.
Yeah, no, that's all there. It's
Oh, okay.
but my question is, if you go to the total expenditures on page 6, the budget for fiscal year 2018 is $1,105,000 and change.
Yeah.
And then it goes to $1,131,000. So that's 26,000 more. But when we go to the 2 changes for salary and benefits, that's just 13,000 more in those 2 columns. I'm just wondering where the other 13,000 is coming from.
The only thing we changed were those 2 line items.
Yeah, so maybe a double check on that.
From 18 to 19, though, like the $26,000 difference, that would have been
Mutual aid.
What Stan and I were
So that's
talking about.
Yeah.
15,000.
Yeah.
That wasn't in
That's
there
what you and I
before.
talked
So
about.
that's the increase we have coming up
Right.
Yeah.
from the 18 year to the 19 year.
It doesn't
Otherwise,
affect,
we
it doesn't
would've been
affect
level
the
funded.
absolute bottom line
Yeah,
of
no,
the town.
I'm
It changes
wondering
just where it shows up.
comes from, because, well, the next to last column for the total expenditures, that 1,105,000, that's before the change in salary and benefits. Did that include the mutual aid amount? Presumably it included everything.
No, 19 includes everything.
Right,
18
that
doesn't.
new budget's in 19.
Okay.
Right.
So then, the
So
change
it-
between the fiscal year 18 and fiscal year 19 includes more than just the salary?
Yeah, it's at 6 pages
Yeah.
of everything we went over
Yes.
line by line by line and made tweaks.
There was the library in there, there was
There was an increase for the library.
Decrease for, yeah.
There was decreases and increases on
So the bottom
various
line
things.
is, so I only took it from the last meeting we had and we said everything was good to go.
Yep.
So I thought we were fine and flying then, and then we had to change those 2 line items, so it changed it just that little bit.
Yep, okay, understood, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so Alan?
Make a motion, we accept the budget with the corrections or additions that have been presented to us on page 1 and page 6.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion, further discussion?
Well, yes, I think we should say we're approving the whole budget.
That's my intent.
That's what the intent.
That's
the whole
my
budget.
intent.
Yeah, the whole-
Right. With the whole budget with these corrections.
Right, yeah. Excuse me, Bill?
Just verb, it should be approved budget, and is this also a recommendation to the town meeting to approve that budget, or are you just making a motion to approve?
No, it's a recommendation for the town to approve the budget, as well as us approving the budget.
Okay, so you're going to approve it and recommend to the town to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No, it's a unanimous, I guess. Okay, Kim, it's the articles.
Yes, you guys all have a copy.
You do, yes.
All of the articles.
Okay, I got a problem. I got 2 copies and they're different, but they're not.
That's because the latest one I printed to you, and the only change is if you look at the capital budget, did you print off the last one I sent you at 5 minutes to 4?
5 minutes to 4?
Can we make this, can we make, can we make it easy? On Article 9,
Just pick this in my box.
on Article 9, there's a change in wording. Which of those 2 do I look at?
It said, I thought shall the town of Grafton raise $8,000.00 to purchase radar speed indicators.
Okay, that's the version I should be looking at.
No, if you look at Article 12. Look at Article 12.
That's the one that was changed.
That's the one I had to tweak. Shall the town of Grafton vote to raise $149,000 for the capital budget? $100,000 for equipment, $4,000 for guardrail, $20,000 for highway roadway projects, $15,000 fire truck, $3,000 for computers, and $7,000 for scraping and painting.
Wait, that's been, that's this one. Well, the wording on Article 9 is different in these 2 piles. That's why I was, so it says, shall the town of Grafton raise $8,000.00 to purchase radar on this pile?
Now go to 12.
All right, so,
And then the last 2 items on 12, does it have $7,000 for bridge and scraping and $3,000 for computers?
But he's saying Article 9 is different on one page than the other page. I
Yeah,
didn't
come-
understand that happened.
I don't know, because I thought she had the same word.
well, that's, and then when I go to Article 12,
Article 12 is changed.
This one's wrong, okay? You can see.
okay, when I go
Take
over
it away
here,
from me.
when I go over here, when I go over here to this one, that says what that says.
Because you didn't print off the 5 minutes to 4 article that I said, please respond that you guys all got this.
And I was going to, and didn't.
So none of you printed off.
No, I
You
just,
got it.
I
We only need one copy signed, so if you guys want to share,
I picked this up in my box at 5 o'clock.
then
But
she was not here at 5. She left at
And I
noon.
didn't print it off because
Amber left at noon.
Okay, now I'm picking up what you're putting down. I need to go to my phone.
So nobody has a clean copy? I do not have a clean copy.
Would you like my clean copy?
Yeah, well, if we're going to approve it, someone's got to sign it, so.
Cynthia should have a clean copy.
No, I just,
You didn't bring it?
no, I thought you were bringing it.
All right, guys, here we go.
Yeah, right.
This is what happens when you get this at 5 o'clock and an hour before a meeting comes.
Well, let me tell you, this has been nothing but a nightmare, right?
Well, it's been difficult because there's a lot of
Hands
articles this
inside
year
there.
and a lot of legalese and a lot of discussion and whatever, believe me, between the town attorneys and the LCT and everything
I'm
else,
just
so.
gonna use his just for the.
So you want this signed now and we can do that?
You will be signing it once you look them all over.
Should, have you, do you want to read?
She took it away from me.
Yeah, sure, Kathy.
On that article,
Which article?
I think it's 8, we're talking about.
Just
Raise
prepare
$1,000 for rescue squad.
So tell me what I gotta fix on 12.
100,000 for equipment.
Oh, you already
You
did.
mean 149,000 for equipment?
Right.
Well-
Are you not specifying what that 100,000 entails?
It's for the capital budget, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's the capital budget.
But you have equipment.
Yeah, but the capital budget defines that out. We're just
So
raising,
there'll be, we have it listed.
in the town report, there's a capital budget report, and it'll indicate what they're doing.
We have a schedule too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
there's a schedule. We're just raising the money for the capital budget. Where it goes, then you can discuss that at the town meeting.
So if you guys have any questions on the articles.
No, I don't, because it was just a few minor changes.
I think I explained to most of you that I did talk to Fred this morning early. So referring back to the last few articles that we have there, our brand new ones. Let's start with Article 15. Shall the voters establish a reserve fund in the amount not to exceed, and that got changed with Fred's recommendation to 10%. It was 5, but Fred this morning discussing the length of time from the time we start our fiscal year to the next, our tax payment, he thinks 10% is the best. So I took 10% of what our upcoming town and select highway budget is going to be, and that would come to about $110,000. That's a little bit over, but not drastic. So we named the account, and you can see on,
Yeah, it's called the Unanticipated Expenses Fund.
it was recommended by Sarah Jarvis from VLCT to name the account. So Fred and I named the account exactly what Joe said. So then the next article, we needed to put funds into that account. And so then it states that we're taking $110,000 from the 2017-18 surpluses of monies and depositing into that reserve that we just created above it.
And it's called the Unanticipated Fund Expenses.
Yeah. Then, the only other changes we had, on most all of them, I did put that the surpluses were coming from the 2017-18 surplus. I wanted to make sure that we specified what year they were coming from, because we just finished our audit for the 17-18 year, and that's where the surpluses are coming from.
What's the total surplus for 17, 18 now?
What was it? I think it was 390. Then when we got down to, what was the last one we had here?
Article 21.
Article 21. And shall the town appropriate the sum of $106,000 from the general highway budget for 18 to be used for future highway retreatment projects? We did not need to have that, okay? So according to Sarah Jarvis, we can create, on Article 20, we're creating the reserve account, and then we are just going to move what's left in the reserve account from the general fund. It's a line item in the town budget already, in the selectmen's budget, highway budget, and at the end of the year, what there is, if there's 106 left and we did no highway projects for paving, we can just move it into the reserve. So all we needed to do is create the reserve, and then we can supplement the reserve through the line item in the budget. So there wasn't a need to have that extra one. So that's why on Joe's it's been removed. We did not have to deposit into it.
So we're removing Article 21?
No,
There was another article that...
There was an Article 21 and it's been removed.
Article 21 reads now, shall the town establish a reserve fund to be called a highway retreatment fund?
Yeah.
To be used for highway retreatment.
That's the 5 o'clock one.
Yeah.
Any questions? Went back and forth with Fred this morning. The wording, it's gone to VLCT, it's gone to Robin, it's gone to Sarah Jarvis, Abby Friedman.
It's not to the world.
She's gonna have to be able to explain all this.
That would be the trick.
So 106 part of the 390?
No, 106 is built into our highway budget already. Every year we put into the retreatment. And so the idea now is to have a reserve, so it gets taken, I want to say washed away at the end of the year if not used. So this way here, we're going to move the 106 over into a reserve and then just start a whole new budget again for the next year. And that way there we can have a large amount built up into the retreatment. So when a project does come up, we've got a large project to bid on, better pricing, larger area to be able to retreat than to do smaller quantities.
One of the things that kind of stirred that up a little bit was, if anybody remembers the pavement somewhat fiasco in the village this year on Columbus Day. What caused that to happen, that was all supposed to have been done by September, but that was such a small project. It just got put off and put off and put off till somebody was moving a machine that might be a little bit closer than wherever they might have been going. So what we tried to do by doing this retreatment fund, that we can build up some dollars so we can do a larger area at one time, or do a more complete, rather than just paving over a bad road. If we have more funds established in this reserve account, we can get in and actually tear the asphalt up and make sure there's proper drainage and do it a little bit more correct than just paving over an existing piece of broken up pavement. So that was the primary reasons why we tried to, or that we want to establish the retreatment reserve.
And that's evidence around where Jock Hill on 121, where they actually dug the road up, put all the proper drainage. That road is now, what, 3 years, and it's in perfect shape, rather than just putting asphalt over for a year or two, and then it just won't get the same problems come back. And for $106,000, you can't do very much of it.
You can't.
There was one more part to that equation is, for the last several years, we've used Springfield Paving, and Dave Thurber has retired. So that small company that used to do business with us and we could count on, is now, that business has to be picked up by these bigger companies. You know, that little bit of money is not enough to get their attention. So we can see the writing on the wall. In the future, we're gonna have to do bigger projects, and that's kind of a way of responding to that.
But it's actually cash that goes into this reserve fund.
It comes out of the voted budget that the town votes under highway. You'll see when you get that, you'll see the 106,000 in there for retreatment. At the end of the year, if that has not been used, or whatever percentage of that has not been used, the intent is to not use it, But something came up that may have to use a portion of it, whatever is left will then automatically go into that reserve fund, so that we have that for up and coming projects in there. As opposed to just, it would evaporate and then go back into the general fund if it wasn't used. This way it's very specific, so whatever's in that reserve fund now, that's all that can be used for.
But it would have gone back into the general fund.
Just go back
It's the
in.
same kind of cash, just flowing to a different account.
Right.
And what is the disposition of that cash in the reserve fund? Is it invested some way, since we're gonna hold on to it?
No, it still stays in the general checking account, which we receive interest on.
I see.
And just so you understand, reserve funds are very restricted as what they can be. So they're created by the town by a vote, and the select board can move money back and forth and take from them to pay any retreatment, but it has to be only for the specific reason it was reserved for, unless they go back to the voters, have another special town meeting, and then change the purpose of the reserve.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And get
it's very
approval,
restricted.
and get approval to use it for something.
Yeah.
That money is guaranteed to stay for whatever the purpose is for.
I understand, thank you.
Very similar to the fire department building up a fund for a new truck where they set money aside and eventually they get enough for the truck.
Yeah, so
Same
it
idea.
has to be handled very conservatively.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? So we need a motion to accept these, the warning for 2000.
I make a motion that we accept the warning as written and presented at about 5 o'clock today.
All in favor? I mean, a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So I'm going to pass this around, and then we need to sign it, and then Kim can
Record it.
record it for the thing. Okay, while we're doing that, the next thing is the highway mileage. Every year, we have to certify our highway mileage for the town. This year, there was a discrepancy. Bill might be able to explain. There was over the Burgess Cemetery Road. But what Bill and I did, we took an hour and we did an actual audit of the actual town highway map and what the town says on highway mileage is. And it's accurate. So we know that right now it's accurate. And Bill, you might want to explain what happened with the Burgess Cemetery, why there was a discrepancy.
I don't know if I can explain it's acceptable, but what happened was in 2011, myself, Dave Rogers, and Joe Montecalvo signed a mileage certificate that was wrong. What happened was, during that year, Danny asked about why we're plowing a certain driveway off of Eastman Road, and that was the lower, what used to be the lower end of Burgess Cemetery Road. That lower end had been thrown up in 1807 by the town, or 1877, it's hard to read the handwriting. And when they threw it up, they threw it up from the schoolhouse on the corner of Eastman Road up to the cemetery. They kept from the cemetery out to 5, Town Highway 3. When Danny asked that question back when I was on the select board, we checked on it and found out that was thrown up. They should not have been plowing it, and the town can't plow it. It's a private property. So we brought that up, and there was another road. It was out on 121. Those two roads were taken off the map, but when Jackie wrote it up, and I don't know, I'm not blaming Jack for this, it could have been me that did it wrong, whatever. We gave up the whole Burgess Cemetery Road in that certificate, though the town had never given it up. So when we were checking over this map this year, I was looking for, one of the questions I had is, did anybody ever check the mileage on the roads on the map with the list of mileage over here? And so that's why Joe and I did that. But while we were doing that, I noticed that all of Burgess Cemetery Road was discontinued, and therefore on the map there's no public access to the cemetery. That was mistaken, and that's what this explanation is, to add that .0, that .16 Class 3 road back onto the map, and that's what it's for. I talked to Jonathan Croft of VTrans mapping section, who does that work, and I explained to him what happened in an email. He said, put that down in writing with the documentation, and they will change it. So hopefully they will, when the map comes out in May or June, it'll have the first part of the cemetery road. That's what happened.
Any other questions? Do we have to approve this, or we just sign it?
It's accepted by, it should be approved by the select board.
So we need a motion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so somebody make a motion to accept the amended highway certificate for year ending February 10th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? I'm going to pass it around. You'll have to sign this thing as well. And then, that has to go back to Kim. She has to file it, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah. As well. Okay, the next thing is the forestry update. Alan?
As some of you may be aware, we've been working with the forester, young forester, Hayden Lake. And the plan is to have a timber sale on this property here. And the area that we're considering is to the northwest of here. So it's above the last cut and up to the property line. So all the cutting is on the west side of Bell Road. The intent is, or the hope is, to take the revenue from that timber sale and then use that to do work in the town park. Anyways, Hayden sent me an email, and he's marked the timber. It amounts to about 60,000 board feet, which to a lot of people that doesn't mean much, but it's about 12 log truck loads of logs. Okay. Also some firewood, about 77 cords of hardwood, and about 88 cords of hemlock is what has marked. And he asked our permission, the select board's permission, to allow him to compose an invitation list, which he will send to area loggers, loggers that he has worked with and has good rapport and feels are honest and will do a good job. If we have loggers that we would like to see on that bid list, we can include those. And then he will send a letter to the loggers telling them what he has marked, what the species are. I have the whole thing if you want to know how many thousand feet of oak and all that, but he's got it all marked and broken down. So the loggers will see what he has done, numbers of trees, thousands of board feet, and then they'll have the ones that are interested will go with Hayden, walk the area and look at where he wants the roads laid out and where the landing or where they will pull the logs to and where the trucks can go. And then those loggers will prepare their bid or what they're willing to pay for it. And that's how, and then it's part of Hayden's service to make sure the loggers do a good job and we get paid what we're supposed to get paid. So that's all in the process and just needs for us to tell him to go ahead and go through the bidding process.
And he's got a list of who he prefers to use.
He has a list of loggers that he has worked with and has had good results. But if we wanted to add somebody that we knew, we can ask them to add. You know, they still got to go and look at it. They got to prepare a bid and everything.
So we want to make a motion to let Hayden continue the process?
I'll make a motion to locate it to progress.
Second.
Alan seconded. Any further discussion?
No, the only thing that I'm wondering, what's the level of cleanup? Is there any type of thing, slash piles cut down? How does that work?
Some of that is up to us, what we want, how we want the contract written.
So we'll see it before it goes out or something?
Well, we can have input and we'll get a chance to review it. But I can tell you, if we ask the loggers to cut every little stick up and tidy everything up, that they'll do that, but you're gonna get less money. You know, that they're not doing that work for free.
Yeah, that's
so
pretty nice.
But there are some laws that they have to follow, and the laws say that they have to pull the brush back from the boundaries, 50 feet back from the boundaries, which is a fire law, and it's also for surveying property lines. So they have to do that by law. They also have to follow the acceptable management practices, which are water bars, stream crossings, those sorts of things. Then, after that, the more we request, the smaller the check is.
I was only asking what...
But we have an opportunity to influence that, yes.
Yes.
How about any slash be used for biomass offering?
Well, I would guess, based on what he has written, he intends to 77 cords of hardwood, and because in his email, he talks about the volume that's in the tops. Yeah. So that will depend on who he has for a logger, who he contracts with. Some of the loggers are set up where they cut the tree and then they grab it with a grapple, they pull it to the landing, the whole tree, and then they take out the portion that's a log, and the part that's the rest of it just gets chipped up and blown into a van. If that's what we want done, then that's what we ask for. There is some thinking, depending on the area, that you're taking nutrients off the site when you do that. There's also some thinking that when you take the whole tree off the site, that then the deer can move around that area as they see fit. It looks pretty when you cut it and clean it up like a park, but there is some value to leaving those tops there so that the oak seedlings, the sugar maple seedlings, the ash, the things that deer like to feed on, they can't step into that top and get all that. So you get some regeneration. That's all things that we need to think about and give him direction. He'll set it up the way we want it set up, but we can do that. But at this point, the contract hasn't been written, so we can think about it and we can give him the direction we want him to head.
Yeah. Right now, all we want to do is approve that he goes ahead with the contract.
Correct.
And we'll have an opportunity to look at the contract and decide how we write the contract.
But it's something we should be thinking about.
Yes. So we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. Cynthia made the motion.
Just to be clear, this is a motion for him to proceed with
the contract,
with drafting a contract that you will then later review.
Correct, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor of having continued?
Aye.
Building committee, this is what Alan had asked, and Alan and I had discussion about this, so I'll let Alan deal with it.
When we had a meeting and we were talking about doing work at the town hall, the thought occurred to me that we have two major expenses or commitments, I guess you'd say, to the town. One is the roads and the equipment to run the roads, and the other is the structures. So we have a town hall building and we have a town garage building. We have a committee of Ron and I that are the personnel committee to deal with personnel. my suggestion to the board is that we have a committee or subcommittee of the select board that their charge is the buildings. My experience when I worked for the state, the best kept vehicles were the vehicles that were assigned to somebody. The ones that were pool vehicles that everybody used didn't get as well maintained. And so if we say 2 people or 1 person, whatever we decide, your responsibility is buildings, then they know they're on the seat to do that, and whether it's Danny or Kim or Bill, whoever, they know they can talk to that individual, hey, I got an issue with the building. So I'm making a suggestion for discussion and action if we should appoint or make it a subcommittee on the buildings.
My thought is that we signed 2 selectmen to the town hall, and then 2 to the town garage.
The same 2?
No, 2 others, so you have, so two take care of one building, 2 take care of another, are responsible for that building. And then the chair is basically the person who sits there, and if the persons who are responsible for the town hall are either away or on vacation or whatever the case might be, and there's an issue, then the chair would take over. Or you can do it however you want to do it. That would be a suggestion. I just don't know.
I guess my original thought was we have 2 people that have responsibility of personnel. If the other,
okay, you want to do that.
And so if the other 2 people are responsible for buildings, then as the chair, your overall responsibility, everybody's got some special assignment. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Now, you're not thinking in terms of, emergency responses so much as an ongoing overview.
Just keeping track, Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was, when we had this meeting at the town hall, there was no heat. So we called James and James, and Stan volunteered to come back at 5 or 6 o'clock, or whatever it was. And then when they redid the post office floor, there was an issue with the door in the bathroom, and I got a phone call, I wasn't around. It finally got resolved, but this way, if there are these kind of issues that do come up, then those 2 individuals would take care of it, and and know what to do. However, that was just the point. So it's covered rather than haphazardly.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. I'd be more at ease treating it as like you have a personnel committee and have other items and so on. And so you have 2 people.
That's good.
That's their job for the years.
Correct. That's what I was thinking.
I'd be favored of the same 2 people.
Can you add that to that little list you wanted to hand out to you have a building committee, so we know who to contact if there's an issue?
Yeah. Well,
As long as that doesn't go out to the public.
Right.
But for in-house, it'd be nice to have a building committee and a personnel, so we.
Right, yep. And while we're on it, seeing as how we're talking about building, I did some teaching here the other night for the fire department. You might have seen it on the Facebook thing. But while I was in here, there was a couple issues that surfaced in my mind. Number 1 is, it'd be nice if there was a vacuum in here to vacuum this floor. The other thing that would be nice is for the highway crew to know who's in there, who's going to be in here on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. Some nights when they're plowing, they may say, well, we've been plowing for 14 hours. We'll come clean up the front of the building tomorrow morning. But if they know people are coming here, they're going to know we need to get the building cleaned up and sanded and prepped for people coming in. So, and I think it's a reasonable thing to say, we want the room set up like it is here for these meetings. You're welcome to do whatever you want to do for your meeting when you're here. Like I reorganized it quite a bit the way I wanted it set up for what I was doing. But when the next person comes, the room will be organized this way. The other thing that came out of it is, it would have been nice to have one more table. And I can get into the building, but I couldn't get to another table because the extra ones are locked upstairs. So that idea of Danny knowing who's coming in here and what they want, how they want the room set up. So I think having a sign-up sheet, or whether it's a piece of paper or whether it's a computer thing or whatever, but something where whoever is point of contact for the meeting, whether it's planning commission, whether it's the fire department, whether it's whatever, there's a person that signs for the room.
Well, we have.
And they are also,
Let me address that.
and they are also the person to make sure the room is returned to this format and vacuum before they leave.
We have a town hall usage policy, and I have copies of it, and we need to have a town town meeting, a garage meeting policy as well.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And I have it on my to-do list, and then Emily took off, and our previous administrator took off, and so now we have a new person, so that's on my list, and I'd like to put it on for the next meeting. But we do need a policy for this building.
Yes.
And that definitely is something.
And a sign-up sheet.
And a sign-up sheet.
I know people call me for the town office to sign it out there.
Right.
So I usually give them
Yes.
the okay.
It's something we need to do.
Right, and Danny needs to know when somehow the format needs to get set up, so he knows when people are coming in. One other thing, and I'll get off my horse, along with the vacuum cleaner, there should be a runner that runs down this hallway from this door to the sink. This is the high-use area, and sooner or later, we're gonna be replacing carpet, so if we put some runners down, we could capture the heavy use and minimize it.
Well, they have a laundry service, so I'm sure that same service will probably do runners.
I'm just saying,
Right.
based on time in here, those were my observations.
They have runners and they will come and pick the runners up, but they're very expensive.
Oh, yeah?
We stopped using them because they're very expensive. And who's going to maintain the
Well,
vacuuming?
That's what I'm saying. Part of whoever is the point of contact, if I'm here for Tuesday night meeting, one of the things I do, or somebody in my group, we put the room back to this format and vacuum before we leave. So
Yeah,
everybody
well,
that's using it,
I guess we do it.
everybody. I'm okay with that. It's okay. Whoever's using it, whoever uses it participates in taking care of it. That's my point.
We need a vacuum committee. Can we go back?
Maintenance.
Can we go back to Alan's proposal?
Yeah.
So we can make do we want to make a motion that we establish this committee? That would be in order, you think?
Yeah, I've got one, I don't want to drag this thing on. The building committee, I guess, I would rather see, I don't know that you really have to have two people on it. My suggestion is, we have multiple parks in town and land that's taken care of. I think another position, if we're talking about giving out two positions, one would be a building contact, and the other could be a contact for the parks that we have. We have multiple parks.
State, or the
And town parks.
Town land, yeah.
And I think it would be good to have a person assigned to see, I know one that was the green up by, the white church up there had a flagpole. And that flagpole for any numbers of years was almost kicked over at a 45-degree angle. And I mean, the flag was up there sort of all bent over. And I can't believe anybody didn't make comment about that. And finally, I asked Walter, who's sort of our official flag person in town, and best I can figure out, he went in and took the flag down and took the pole out.
Well, so the Improvement Association paid for it. The Grafton Improvement Association paid for the new pole.
There's a new one in there?
I think they were doing it. They
I
did
don't
when
think
I
so.
was on the board.
No.
Well, that just happened then, because I know a few years ago, they
6
put
months
in a
ago.
new one.
Anyway, my point is, I think I'd like to see somebody that would oversee the parks to make sure they're kept up. We've added a couple of different parts over the past, couple years with the, with the Irene demolition and redoing and setting trees and stuff. I just think that would be another position that would work. So you'd have a person in the building section of it and another person in the park.
Maybe we should table this and then we'll get on work with the administrator and we'll make a formal presentation and put it on the agenda for next meeting. How's that? Okay? Because I think that's a great idea. Okay, the next one is the post office floor update. As far as I know, did I miss one?
Town hall restoration.
I'm sorry, town hall restoration, go ahead.
The town hall restoration, we are progressing.
We need to make a motion to bid it out because we have to exceed the one, remember that?
Well, I have it.
Yeah, okay.
I have it. And again, the town hall restoration is progressing. As usual, it is a slow process, but we are heading in the right direction. We had a little bit of a bid sheet put out. We had a couple of contractors come out and look at it, and they didn't want to use that. The intent was if we gave the bid sheet that we had out to one contractor, they could have done the work. But if it's going out for competitive bid, they have to have blueprints, and so everybody's on the same sheet of music. They want to know what length of stainless steel nail to use, how many brackets that they have to put up, the thickness of the brackets, everything. So to do it in competitive bidding, we had to back away from the first process. Again, if we just went out and hired a company, they would have done the engineering because they know they have the job, but in competitive bidding, they wouldn't do it. So we're back to our architect, and they are hiring a structural engineer out of Williston. So we have a structural engineer going to draw up some prints, and we have a list of how we want to proceed with that. This is now for the roof. I probably should have confirmed that. This is for the roof over the vault in Kim's office and things like that. Now, Kim was in there the other day with somebody else, and that snow came off the roof, and people just ran for the doorways. Everything shook. I don't know what keeps the lights on the ceiling, but anyway, that snow, it's about more than a 6-foot drop. It's probably an 8-foot drop from that top roof onto that bottom roof. I was in there one day, and I thought it was bad, but apparently the snow let go the other day, and it was really bad. So we are absolutely proceeding with this thing, and I do have the list of what we have to do and sign. We have the proposal from the architect, which includes the engineering for this thing. We have to sign this thing and get it out. And then what we're going to do, once we get the thing back and get the drawings, we will put it out for a formal bid. It'll be listed in the newspapers and anybody else that we can send this thing to, so it'll be bid properly. Hopefully we can get this thing done. And the plan is first thing in the spring is to get this roof repaired and get the reconstruction of the town hall underway. So that's kind of where we set for now.
Any other comments? We don't need a motion or anything to accept this, I don't think, do we?
It was get a clean copy and sign it, so we can get it back.
Okay, post office floor update. Over Martin Luther King holiday, they replaced the post office, not the lobby, but the other part, the floor. And they redid the bathroom floor as well and changed the bathroom toilet that was from, I don't know how many years ago, where it probably used 4 gallons of water every time you flushed it. So we do have now a new modern low-flow toilet with new flooring, and so at the post office that everybody is happy. So it's just, I guess it's almost part of the restoration process because the building has been, upgraded, so.
And the soap dispenser works, Dan.
Ah, good, thank you.
I got that.
That bothered me.
I know that was bothering you.
Yeah, it did, it bothered me.
Okay, public comment?
Well, it's not common.
You're not public, you're the attorney.
I have a comment.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the ice jam at the footbridge. Any discussion about that?
Jensen, who's a water streams person for the state of Vermont. And I also personally contacted Scott Jensen to make sure that the story I got was correct. And another resource I had to make sure that there wasn't a threat to like Kidder Hill Bridge and things that are downstream from that footbridge. Scott Jensen says he's not concerned with the dam taking out Kidder Hill Bridge. The feeling is that footbridge, should the ice take it out, it's not going to come downstream broadside. It would get tangled up. So if it came downstream, it would be more like a canoe going downstream. But he figures with a half a mile downstream to Kidder Bridge, he's not worried about that. He did give the foundation and the contractor permission, if they needed, to go into the stream and break up the ice. There is some concern, of course, there's another dam, ice jam in Cambridgeport. So if you break up that ice goes down and catches down in Cambridgeport and backs up towards Neil Whitcomb's. The other thing I talked to Scott about was, what if they worked off from the shore, and if you're familiar with the property, the stream comes down and makes a hard bend. On the outside of the bend is the field and the town and the sheds where they keep equipment for the foundation. There's no trees there. So if they worked with the excavator there, grabbed the ice, pulled it out of the stream and laid it up on the field, then it could melt off in normal spring melt and not add to the Cambridgeport situation. There's nothing that Scott sees and the folks I've talked to, there's nothing that we see as town concern. It's a foundation issue, and they know what their options are. I actually had an email from Carl Lauren today, and I shared with him, that I had this conversation with Scott Jensen. So everything, it's in their ballpark. It's their land, it's their bridge, it's their issue. So
It's important that it be clear that the town is not taking any position or providing guidance.
Right.
Exactly.
correct. But the first thing
We could be held responsible for what happened.
I understand that, but the first thing I wanted to do before I backed away from it is to make sure that the state engineer, or whatever his title is not saying, wait a minute, there's a potential problem for a town fixture, and he said, no, he's not seeing that.
So that makes
So you passed it along to him?
What's that?
You passed it along to him?
I passed it along to Scott. No, Scott was there first, but I had a conversation with Scott Jensen after he was
It
there.
puts us off the hook.
Yeah, and I had an email from Liz Dunkowski, and I emailed her back, and she indicated that they're going to do nothing, and I indicated to her that this is not a town issue.
Yeah, so that's exactly the way it is.
Yeah. Any other public comment? Kim?
Okay. Reminder, town reports are not being mailed again any longer, but I should have them available in my office the second week of February. And at the same time when you pick them up, you're more than welcome to make your third tax payment. Starts through the second week of February.
You gotta get that in there, I know that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them too. Again, for the second year, we're selling dog license at town meeting. So I'm gonna have Michelle set up with her own table at town meeting, so we can do dog license then also. So come with your check or cash, or no credit cards accepted. And on February 26th, we have scheduled a pre-town meeting. and a candidate forum. So that's just so something you can look forward ahead of time. It'll be at 6 o'clock at the Grafton Elementary School.
I think it's 2:20.
Monday the 26th?
It's 27.
27th?
I'm pretty sure.
We're doing it on a Tuesday, I'm sorry.
27th.
Yeah, 27th. I have the 26th as Monday, but we're going to do it on the Tuesday, the 27th.
And do we know yet if the,
I believe the school is going to
Go first?
go with us.
And the school is available, and so we're all set.
cool.
Any other public comment? Do we have any new business?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's public comment or new business, but I'm just wondering, the proposed solar development in Cambridgeport, have the nearby property owners been, contacted and had a chance to have full discussions?
I had a discussion with Bill Kearns today, and there are some issues that we need to do as a select board. So Bill and I will be discussing it, and we'll put it on the agenda. There are things that we need to do as a board.
Are there any concerns being raised by nearby property owners or other folks?
I haven't heard anything.
They were on the mailing list, they all got copies of that
They did
that
get
letter.
certified copies.
Yes.
I heard from one that did get a certified
Yeah.
copy. I don't remember receiving a certified copy for the select board.
We did not receive anything.
I was gonna say, unless you guys got it in your mailbox, I signed for the certified copy for the planning commission and then turned it over to Eric, but
I got a letter from them, but it was just in my box. Was that the certified copy? I mean, I assumed that all the selectmen got it.
what kind of a letter? I mean,
It was a letter from I might even have.
It wouldn't have been certified because on the list, if you look at the document that Eric sent in, on the list, the select board is listed as receiving or being sent a
Yeah.
certified copy. I didn't sign for
It's,
one.
I didn't sign for anything.
Solar strategies.
Yeah.
The planning commission got
Yeah, that's
one.
the letter I got.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's not, because this was a whole packet
No,
with a diagram and
No, it's just this letter.
No, we got it on
By email.
through Eric.
That's, yeah,
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 through Eric,
because
that's
Eric
correct,
got a
yes.
certified
There was no
copy.
certified
You guys
copy to
did
the
not.
board, to my knowledge.
and there should have
Okay,
been.
and there should have been.
Yeah.
And I
can check
realized
with
it
Amber in the
wasn't,
morning to see.
no, because if anything, I would have gotten it for her.
Oh, okay.
And it was during the time after after the town administrator had left, and there's still no one there, so it wouldn't have been me that would have had to sign, or Michelle. So,
But we do have an issue, and Bill and I have had a discussion, and we need to do some things, so I want to try to get that on the agenda for the 5th. Good, if that's possible. Any other new business?
Yes.
You're busy there.
And the 3 select board, if you have your keys with you,
Yeah.
if you could turn them over to Stan. Stan's going to stamp a number on them. And then if anybody who does need a key for the town garage, come back to the office. I know you signed it out once, but I'm going to have you sign out a new sheet that's holding the select board responsible for any of the actions that are taking place during any meetings or anything here, rather than the road foreman. At the time when the road foreman was in control of the keys and who got keys, he held the responsibility of the building. Now that it's gone beyond the road foreman, he does not want responsibility any longer. So, and plus I'll give you guys each a new number. So if you can come back to the office tomorrow.
So wait a minute, when I signed for this key, I had to sign a piece of paper, so if you're taking it away, are you gonna sign for it?
I got that paper that says date returned, and
Yeah,
then
but
I'm gonna give you a new one
I
that you're
want
taking
documentation you took the key away from me.
tonight.
Well, yeah.
I'm not taking it, Stan is. He sure is.
I'm gonna drop them off at Kim's office tomorrow morning.
I'll sign it then.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have
I've got a lot of witnesses.
Now,
I'm
you said
giving up
there were
my
3,
key.
there's only 2 that I know, just Alan and
Bill has
No,
one.
Bill,
Oh, Bill
Al, yeah, and yours, or not yours. Joe's.
No, he has one.
And you'll bring it back tomorrow?
tomorrow morning.
Okay, great.
Any other new business? Okay, the next meeting is February 5th, and we had a discussion earlier. Fred from Publicity is coming down on the 5th. And we were wondering, maybe we could move the meeting up to 5 o'clock so he doesn't have this long ride from Burlington and leave here late at night. So if there's any objection, we can have the next meeting at 5 instead of 6 here at the town garage. Does anybody have any objection to that?
I think it's fine, it's a long.
Okay, so the next meeting will be February 5th at 5 o'clock, okay?
And that's, TV has that, right?
Is that okay? Can you be here at 5, I guess, or?
I don't know that I'll be the one doing it, but
Oh, okay, but just, could you pass it on? Okay,
And I'll let Fred know.
okay. Now, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Very productive meeting.
Huh?
Very productive meeting.
Okay.